Molly Malone, or Cockles and Mussels. I grew up with this song. I came from a singing family. I'm going to help you put it on your ukulele. We're going to go over a strumming pattern because it's in 3/4 time and you can't use the island strum. I've got tips and tricks how to get in and out of the D7 because there's the chords that we're going to need. And I've also got to give you tips and tricks about the G to E minor shift. And it's a 4-chord song, but I'm going to show you how just by lifting one finger, you can make it a 5-chord song and make it sound a little bit more interesting. And of course there's a play along at the end, so let's get going.
Cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh.
Tackle strumming first. Let's do the pattern, then I'm going to show you some tips and tricks that you have to do in order to accommodate that pattern. All right, this cannot be done with an island strum. It would just be wrong, or, well, really unconventional. Here, I'll show you what it sounds like with an island strum. In Dublin's fair city, where girls are so pretty. Yeah, nah, it's first of all, island strum is in a pattern of beats, a meter or time signature of 4/4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, we have to do it in 3/4 because it's Dublin's fair city where girls are so pretty. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So let's break that pattern down. You can use this strumming pattern with almost any song that moves in that waltz time of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm playing a G, and it goes like this. Down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, 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 down. Now I do a little bit of a tricky stuff with my thumb. I do that first down strum with my thumb rather than my index finger. And the reason is I don't know if you can see. Oh, see if I can shield it from you here. Nah, it's not working. My thumbnail's a little bit longer than my other nails. I do that on purpose. And so, because I like that sound of the thumbnail and the fleshy part of my thumb going down on those strings, and so I'm exaggerating that first down strum, down, kind of just lengthening the stroke of my strum just a little bit more so you can hear each string ringing out. It's really good for sad songs like this one. Got your ukulele ready? Let's play it together for just a bit and make sure you've got it all mastered. Oh, but before we practice the strum together, let's go over the chord changes too and get those figured out because I've got some little tips and tricks to show you. You're going from, first of all, a G to an E minor. So G to E minor, you pretty much have to pick those all up and shift them. So you have to practice it so that your brain and your muscles have a pathway to make that switch. And so you can just practice that chord change in isolation. I frequently advise my students, and I've done this too. I do this too as a practice technique all the time, just taking something that I find challenging and working it back and forth. One of the things that I really recommend for that G to E minor switch is if you don't have a strap already, you will find a strap very liberating. And there's all kinds of straps that you can get. My instrument is drilled with strap buttons, and you can drill many of the concert size and above with them. And I'll link a video up here that I used when I first started drilling my ukuleles. I also will put a link down below to hug straps. Many of my students use those if they don't have a strap button. She's got a really unique system for putting on a ukulele strap without having to drill. And then I will also put a link down below. I know some people have made little crocheted yarn straps on their own. So I'll put a link down below to a DIY, because making that G to E minor switch, if this hand, your chording hand, doesn't have to have any responsibility of holding the neck, you will find that you take a whole lot less pressure, and then you can just reset those fingers, no problem, without having to hold your ukulele. I'm going to show you how I get in between the A minor and D7 on a song like this. And trust me, the ukulele police are not going to come and scoop you up and take you away for doing this. Or at least they haven't caught up with me yet. So I would normally play A minor like this with my middle finger. Now, when I see something where I'm having to switch from A minor to D7 all the time, well, I could do it like that. But what you could do is play your A minor with your index finger. There is no law against it. And then going from your A minor, you just lay that finger down and put your ring finger in to make that the D7. So that's one way that you could approach it. Sure, you can do it. You could do it like that using the normal fingering, and I probably will. You'll see me doing that in the play along, because it's not hard for me. But if you're finding that any bit challenging, try it with that index finger, because it's a lot less things to move. You just lay that finger down to make the bar. And of course, you've got a lot of strength in your index finger, because most people are pretty dominant with their index finger. So it's really easy for them to make that bar chord. So something to experiment around with. I also have to very quickly get from a G to a D7. In fact, let's take a look at that on the chord chart. On the chord chart, the timing with this is tricky, because the G only gets 2 beats. 1, 2, D7, G. So I'll do that again. So the count is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you've got to go between that G to D7 and back to G really quickly. And I have that notated out on the chord charts. When you see that slash, that says that there's single strums. And I have a little note down my chord chart about the timing as well, because I want you to be able to play this without me, of course. Can't bring me to every uke jam. When I'm taking that G, I'm going to use my ring finger, and I'm going to lead with my ring finger to put it on the 3rd fret of your A string, making that C. And then these 2 fingers on the G pick up and go down together. D7, G. It's almost easier for you to work with those 2 fingers at the same time in tandem than to work with just 1 finger here and then 2 here. So I just stack them, and it makes my D7 a little bit stronger. So G7, I said G7, I meant G. G, D7, G. So you see how I use both of those fingers together to create that bar chord. So that 2 of them actually gives you a little more strength to get that bar chord down. So it might be a real bonus. And again, I know my brain just works better if I have to do the same thing with 2 fingers rather than having to think what to do with that finger while the other one's doing something. It's just easier for my brain to work, and it might be easier for yours too. If it's not, no harm, no foul. It's just something to consider and try. I hope you can get in and out of that G and D7 flawlessly. Still on the topic of tips and tricks, let me show you about an E minor 7. This E minor 7 is basically a G chord, and then all you do is pick up your ring finger and you have E minor 7. When we're singing the part where it goes, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, you're on G for a long time. So I always like to see if I can make it a little bit more interesting, so I changed it to look like this. G, E minor 7, G, D7, G. I have that in the chord chart notated, but I have it color-coded. You do not have to do that. E minor 7, you can just keep it a G and ignore it if you like. But it just gives you something, just a little slight difference in your sound. Let me play that whole line for you again. Crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. So take it or leave it, just something you can do. Add a little extra. Let's practice just the chord changes with the strum before we get into the full-blown play along. I've got a timestamp down below, so if you need to repeat this section, make it easy to get to. All right, here we go. This pattern happens all the time in this song. In fact, all the time, yeah. So let's do it 4 times together, really nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, ready, begin. G and E minor and A minor, D7 and G, E minor, A minor, D7 and G, E minor, A minor, D7, and last time, E minor, A minor, D7. I hope that helps you. Now here's another section that we're going to do. We have the crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, which has the little live, alive, oh. Let's practice that together. So let's do it 2 times without any singing, and then let's do 2 times with the singing. 1, 2, 3, ready, begin. G, E7, and G, D7, G. 1, 2, 3, 2, again. G, minor 7, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I said we were going to do it 2 times. Let's do it 2 more times without the singing. 1, 2, 3, ready, here we go. G, E minor 7, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, do it again. G, E minor 7, and G to D7, G. Let's add the singing. Do it twice with the singing. 1, 2, 3, ready, here we go. Cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Do it again. Cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Now let's do the whole play along. Before we do the play along, I'm just talking to my camera here. Dogs could care less. They're just sleeping on the floor. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit that notification bell and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because that lets me know that you're getting some value out of this. I have chord charts linked down below. I would hope that you'd like to support the work I do, even at $1 a month through patreon.com, and that gives you access to all my chord charts, including this one, which is linked down below. I said it already. Okay. But anyway, let's play along. Here we go. Nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, ready, begin. In Dublin's fair city, where girls are so pretty, I first set my eyes on sweet Molly Malone, as she wheeled her wheelbarrow through streets broad and narrow.
alive, alive, oh. Alive, alive, oh. Alive, alive, oh. Crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. She died of the fever, and no one could save her, and that was the end of sweet Molly Malone. Now her ghost wheels her barrow through streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Alive, alive, oh. Alive, alive, oh. Crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh.
How'd you do? Give me a fist pump on that one. You know, there are still people out there today that do work like this. In Mexico, there's a place that I like to go, Rincon de Guayabiros, and there is a guy that has a 3-wheeled bike, and early in the morning, he starts peddling his wares. Camarones! Camarones fresco! Fresh shrimp. So there are still people out there doing that today, keeping on the tradition of being a street vendor, calling things out. And I can imagine that if you were used to hearing somebody out there all the time calling first thing in the morning, and then that person wasn't there anymore, you would miss them. And then the whole juxtaposition that you have in this song with, the fact that we need to kill things in order to eat and stay alive. And yes, we pass along too. And so the whole alive, alive, oh, where she's selling things that were alive and then they're going to be dead. And so it's just such a fantastic jumble of symbolisms in this whole mixed up crazy thing that we call life. All right. Make sure you subscribe and like, and I'll see you in the next video.